Think about the last time you decided you were finally going to do something about your belly fat. You probably downloaded a new app, bought a bunch of supplements you had never heard of before, set your alarm for 5 a.m. to do fasted cardio before work. Maybe you even reorganized your kitchen like it was a lab. You made it an event, you made it exciting, and by day 12, you were done. Here's the uncomfortable truth that nobody selling you a fitness program will ever say out loud. Fat loss is not an entertainment product. Getting lean is a biological process, and biological processes do not care about novelty, motivation, or excitement. They care about repetition. The people walking around with the flat stomachs you want are not doing extreme 30-day challenges. They are not using secret protocols you have not discovered yet. They have simply mastered a handful of incredibly boring, completely unglamorous behaviors. And they do those same behaviors every single day without thinking about them. Today, I am going to give you 4 of those habits. I am going to show you exactly why they work at the biological level, and I am going to show you how to automate them so you never have to rely on willpower again. One thing before we start. Habit number 3 is the one most people skip, and it is the exact reason their belly fat stalls after the first 2 weeks of any program. Stay with me because without understanding that piece, none of the other 3 fully work. Your brain is hardwired to crave novelty. When you start a complex new diet or a dramatic new workout program, your brain releases dopamine, the same reward chemical that fires when you buy something new or discover a show you cannot stop watching. You become addicted to the newness of the plan. You feel progress just from starting it. But your metabolism is the exact opposite of your brain. Your metabolism hates novelty. It wants predictability. It wants sameness. When you throw chaotic variables at your body day after day, starving until 2 p.m. one day, eating everything in sight the next, crushing yourself at the gym Monday and doing nothing until Thursday, sleeping 5 hours one night and 9 the next, your body reads all of that as a threat. Your nervous system responds to that threat the same way it has responded to threats for hundreds of thousands of years. It releases cortisol. Cortisol is your stress alarm hormone, and chronically elevated cortisol does something very specific and very measurable. It makes it significantly harder for your body to release fat, especially from the abdominal area. Visceral fat, the deep belly fat wrapped around your organs, has roughly 3 times more cortisol receptor sites than fat anywhere else in your body. The more chaotic and unpredictable your routine, the higher your cortisol stays. The higher your cortisol stays, the more aggressively your body clings to belly fat. Research published in Psychoneuroendocrinology found that lifestyle unpredictability and chronic low-grade stress were strongly associated with higher visceral fat accumulation, independent of diet and exercise habits. You can eat well and train consistently and still accumulate belly fat if your daily rhythm is chaotic. To override this, you have to make your environment boring. You have to make your body feel safe enough to let go. When your body feels safe, the alarm turns off, and fat loss becomes dramatically easier. Here are the 4 boring habits that create that safety. Habit number 1, the copy-paste breakfast. Most people let their morning happen to them. They skip breakfast because they are rushing out the door. By 10 a.m., they are starving and grab whatever is closest. The next day, they fast because someone told them that was better. The day after that, cereal because there was nothing else. That is metabolic chaos in its most common form. Your hunger hormones, specifically ghrelin, are partly regulated by consistency. When you eat at the same time, roughly the same composition of food, your hunger patterns stabilize. When you eat differently every morning, ghrelin swings unpredictably. You feel controlled by hunger instead of in control of it. The fix is almost offensively simple. Eat the exact same high-protein breakfast every single morning. Find something that contains 30 to 40 grams of protein, 3 to 4 scrambled eggs with spinach, Greek yogurt with berries and a scoop of protein, a protein shake with some nuts on the side, Whatever fits your life and does not require effort to prepare. Then copy and paste it into every morning indefinitely. Research from the University of Missouri found that a high-protein breakfast measurably reduced ghrelin throughout the morning and significantly decreased brain activity linked to food cravings and reward-driven eating later in the day. The researchers literally scanned participants' brains. The protein group showed reduced activity in the regions associated with craving and impulsive eating, not because they had more willpower, because the protein structurally changed what their brain was doing. Here is the practical outcome of that. People who eat the same high-protein breakfast every day do not experience aggressive afternoon cravings. They do not stand in front of the pantry at 9 p.m. eating things they did not plan to eat. Automate the morning and you have already won most of the day before it started. Willpower is a battery that drains as the day goes on. Every decision you make costs a little of that battery. Automating breakfast means you start every day with a full charge, instead of spending your first decision on what to eat. That habit alone changes the hunger curve. But the next one might be the most underrated fat-burning tool that exists. No gym required, no changing clothes, and it fundamentally changes how your body handles every meal you eat. Habit number 2, the 10-minute post-meal walk. The fitness industry has convinced most people that you need 45 minutes on a machine to burn fat. That is not accurate, and it is one of the reasons people give up. Here is what actually happens after you eat a meal. Your blood sugar rises as glucose from the food enters your bloodstream. Your body releases insulin to clear that glucose. Insulin is a storage hormone. While insulin is elevated, fat burning is essentially switched off. If you sit on the couch after eating, your inactive muscles have no immediate demand for that glucose, so insulin directs it towards storage. Some of it goes to liver glycogen, some to muscle glycogen, and when those are full, excess gets converted to fat. But when you walk immediately after a meal, something different happens. Your leg muscles activate and immediately demand fuel. They pull glucose directly out of your bloodstream to power the movement. A study published in Diabetes Care found that 3 15-minute walks taken after each meal reduced blood sugar spikes throughout the day as effectively as one 45-minute continuous walk. Same total minutes, different timing, dramatically better outcome for insulin and fat storage. The mechanism is specific. Walking activates glucose transporters in your muscle cells, called GLUT4 transporters. When GLUT4 is activated, glucose enters the muscle directly, without requiring insulin to facilitate the process. Your muscles are essentially pulling sugar out of your blood through a back door that bypasses the fat storage pathway entirely. Insulin drops back to baseline in roughly half the time. Your body flips back into fat-burning mode hours earlier than it would have otherwise, 10 minutes after your largest meal of the day. That is the entire habit. You do not sweat, you do not need gym clothes, you do not need to feel anything other than slightly less full when you come back inside. The impact on your belly fat compounds quietly over days and weeks. You have stabilized your morning with protein and flattened your blood sugar after meals. Now, how do you actually burn fat during the rest of the day without destroying yourself with cardio? That is habit 3, and it is the one most people skip. Habit number 3, the non-negotiable step floor. When people want to lose belly fat and they are not seeing results, they almost always go to the same place: more intense cardio, harder workouts, burpees, sprint intervals, things that make them feel like they deserve results. Here is the problem with that approach. High-intensity cardio primarily burns stored glucose during the workout itself. Your body is working too hard to rely on fat as the primary fuel source. And when that glucose gets burned off, your hunger spikes aggressively to replace it. You end the workout starving. You eat more than you burned. You feel like the math should have worked, and it did not. Walking is different at the fuel level. At a moderate walking pace, your body pulls the majority of its energy from stored fat, rather than from glucose. Walking sits comfortably below the exercise intensity threshold where your body would switch to glucose as the primary fuel. A study published in the International Journal of Obesity found that low intensity ambulation maintained fat oxidation at significantly higher rates than moderate to high intensity exercise, with dramatically less post exercise appetite stimulation. You burn fat without triggering the hunger response that causes you to eat it back. This is why walking is not a consolation prize for people who cannot exercise harder. It is specifically superior for fat burning when the goal is sustainable daily fat oxidation without compensatory eating. Set a step floor, not a goal. A goal is something you try to hit. A floor is something you are not allowed to fall below. Pick 8,000 or 10,000 steps as your daily law. Not some days, every day. You will not sweat. You will not feel like you accomplished anything athletic. You will be quietly pulling energy from your fat stores for 45 to 60 minutes every single day without triggering hunger. The tire around your waist does not respond to dramatic effort. It responds to consistent, low-intensity fat burning applied daily over weeks. You can get all three of these habits right every single day, and there is still one habit left that controls everything else. Without this one, the other three are operating at maybe half their potential. It has nothing to do with food or exercise. And most people are getting it catastrophically wrong. Habit number 4, the hormonal reset sleep schedule. Here's the habit nobody wants to hear about because it is the most boring of all. A fixed bedtime and wake time 7 days a week, no exceptions. Before you dismiss this as common sense you already know, let me show you what is actually happening hormonally when your sleep schedule is inconsistent. Your body runs on a circadian rhythm. That rhythm is not just about tiredness. It controls cortisol, insulin sensitivity, growth hormone, leptin, and ghrelin, every major hormone involved in fat storage and fat burning. When you go to bed at 10 p.m. Monday, midnight Wednesday, and 2 a.m. Saturday, you are giving your internal clock jet lag on a continuous loop. That disruption tells your hypothalamus that your environment is unstable and unpredictable. Your body responds to that uncertainty the same way it responds to any threat. It elevates cortisol, suppresses metabolic function, and holds tighter to fat stores. But the specific hormone damage is even more targeted than that. Sleep deprivation crashes leptin, the hormone that tells your brain you are full. Simultaneously, it spikes ghrelin, the hormone that drives hunger. A landmark study from the University of Chicago found that just 2 nights of restricted sleep reduced leptin by 18% and increased ghrelin by 24% in healthy adults. Those two hormonal shifts together produced a 24% increase in hunger and a specific increase in cravings for high-calorie, high-carbohydrate foods. Not a little more hungry, biochemically programmed to want the exact foods that make belly fat worse. And this happens after just 2 nights. Most people have been running on inconsistent sleep schedules for years. The hunger and craving patterns they experience are not personal weakness. They are the direct hormonal output of a disrupted circadian rhythm. Pick a bedtime. 10:30 p.m. is a reasonable starting point. Be in bed at that time with lights off, every single day, including weekends. Pick a wake time. Set it and do not change it, regardless of when you fell asleep the night before. Within 2 to 3 weeks of a consistent schedule, something measurable shifts. Leptin stabilizes. Ghrelin follows a more predictable pattern. Cortisol begins peaking correctly in the morning and dropping correctly at night. And when cortisol drops at night, as it is designed to, your body spends those overnight hours in a low insulin, low cortisol environment where growth hormone peaks. Growth hormone is released primarily during deep sleep. It directly promotes fat burning and muscle preservation overnight. The Mayo Clinic ran a randomized controlled trial where healthy adults had their sleep restricted to 4 hours per night for 2 weeks. CT scans before and after showed the short sleep group gained 9% more belly fat and 11% more visceral fat. Their total body weight only increased by 1 pound. The scale would have told them almost nothing had changed. The CT scan showed fat quietly accumulating around their organs. A fixed sleep schedule is not a lifestyle preference. It is the master switch that determines whether the other three habits deliver their full effect or a fraction of it. Here is the part that matters most, and that almost nobody says directly. Even when people understand these four habits completely, they sabotage themselves around week 3. Not because the habits stop working, because they get bored. The fitness industry has spent decades conditioning you to believe that results require novelty, that you need to shock your body, confuse your muscles, and switch your program every 2 weeks. That is false, and it is profitable for the people selling you the next program. Your body does not need to be confused. Your body needs to be commanded. Week 3 is not exciting. It is a grind. The routine feels repetitive. Nothing feels like it is happening. That is the exact moment the work is actually being done. You have stopped relying on motivation. You are finally relying on biology. Boring is not a flaw in the strategy. Boring is the strategy. It is the filter that separates people who want to feel like they are getting results from people who actually get them. Here are the 4 habits one more time in the exact order they matter. Habit 1. Eat the exact same 30 to 40 gram protein breakfast every single day. Kill the hunger curve before your day starts. Habit 2. Take a 10-minute walk immediately after your heaviest meal. Let your muscles absorb the glucose before insulin stores it as fat. Habit 3. Hit a rigid 8,000 to 10,000 daily step floor without exception. Pull energy from fat stores continuously without triggering compensatory hunger. Habit 4. Fixed bedtime, fixed wake time, 7 days a week. Stabilize the hormonal environment that controls everything else. No protein powder you cannot pronounce. No workout that requires a recovery day afterward. No 30-day transformation challenge. Just 4 boring habits applied with relentless consistency. The leanest people you know are not doing anything interesting. They are doing these 4 things every single day without thinking about it. Start tomorrow. Drop a comment below and tell me which of these 4 habits you think will be the hardest for you to stick with. The copy-paste breakfast, the post-meal walk, the step floor, or the sleep schedule. I read every single comment. If this changed how you think about fat loss, subscribe to What Science Reveals. Real science explained clearly every week. See you in the next one.